We also have top five running back, rookie running backs that we did. We had them projected here. At number five, we had Stevenson from the Patriots. This was preseason. At number four, we had Trey Sermon from San Francisco, Michael Carter from the Jets, Williams from the Broncos, and of course Harris. We had number one out of the rookie running backs. But let's see, guys, your thoughts on the preseason projections.
Well, we thought for preseason, those five were the best that we could possibly think of that were in the draft. That's why we obviously ranked them as a top five. We expected them to have some of the best seasons for their teams and help them overall. And with obviously Williams, you knew that he was going to be sharing the backfield. Harris had the backfield. Carter was going to be the starter probably there in New York. Stevenson was the only one and Sermon, we were the only ones we were questionable on because Sermon had Mostert in San Francisco and Stevenson had Harris in New England. So you weren't really sure what they were going to be about, but you knew they were going to get the ball a pretty decent amount of time.
Yeah, Jeremy, your thoughts on the preseason rankings, and then we'll go through and see who finished in the top five.
Yeah, I mean, I think you had it. I think you guys had it right. I mean, it's pretty much, the way it unfolded, in my opinion. As a Jets fan, I know I'm happy with Carter and think barring, take away the injuries, and that's the only concern with him, is size. And is it going to be an issue his whole career? Is he going to stay healthy? If he stays healthy, I think he's going to be great for the Jets. He looks really dangerous and explosive, big play type of guy. Not the same kind of running back as Harris. Not the, the power, consistent yards per carry, but more of the explosion. And probably always have like a big guy compliment to him. But I think you guys nailed the pre-rankings.
Yeah. So let's look at the top. Let's see how they did coming in on the year. Actually, Hubbard from the Panthers got thrown into the role there with CMC missing a lot of time. We had him 73rd overall in our running backs, but he actually finished 35th overall, which was good enough for number 5 rookie. But your guys' thoughts on Hubbard there in Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he was thrown in a role when CMC got injured, I think week 3 or week 4. Up until then, you weren't sure what Hubbard was going to really have for a rookie year. But when he got thrown in a role, he didn't blow it open and have, phenomenal games, but he did what he needed to do. He didn't have to go out and prove himself. I mean, he was a rookie. He had the job as a backup to CMC already. So for him to go out there and show what he had already in a rookie year and the few games that he did start, you can't say he had a bad season overall. Little under 800 yards total, and he still had a pretty decent year.
Yeah, agreed. Jeremy, thoughts on Hubbard there with the Panthers?
I think he solidified his backup running back role. I think the guy's got a guaranteed job, obviously. But he didn't do anything to create a question mark of like, ooh, rotation.
Right.
He didn't do enough that you have to worry about McCaffrey coming back and not having his full-time job. But he did enough that he's the backup. And if CM Square keeps getting hurt, this is the guy you're going to get. So he might be a guy worth having on your roster because of how often McCaffrey gets hurt. Because, he was a rookie, so he might get that average up to 4 yards. He might get those yards up to 800-900 yards, especially if they get a better quarterback there.
Right.
So this is kind of like a hideaway player, right? You kind of hide him, stash player, because he's gonna start on the bench, but he's going to back up a guy who seems to not be able to stay healthy. So, either that or it's going to be a waiver race, who has the best position to get this guy. This is a guy you grab now if CMC gets hurt, if he's not already on a roster stashed.
Yeah, I think I think in the next 2 to 3 years, I see him being a starter for Carolina, honestly, over CMC. I don't think Carolina is going to waste much more time with CMC's injuries, especially if this year is another injury-prone year coming up. That'd be 3 straight years that he's missed over. If he could miss over half the year, it'd be 3 straight years. And I just don't think Carolina is going to want to keep basing their money into someone that's not going to play their games. And honestly, if CMC has another big major injury, I don't even know what team would want to take that risk, knowing that he's got glass bones and that honestly his career could almost already be falling apart for the fact of him not being able to stay healthy enough to even be able to play.
Yeah, agreed. So let's look at our number 4 rookie. Number 4 ended up being Michael Carter from the Jets. We had him projected at 39th overall. He finished 28th, so definitely improved. But yeah, Jeremy, I'll let you start with this one. Your thoughts on Carter in the Jets?
He's going to be a very, very good player in this league. The 639 yards is and 4.3 average with that offensive line and the way they played, because they were just horrendously bad. The first 8 weeks of the season, the offensive line was just pitiful. And plus, the Jets are a committee type team, right? They had Coleman, they had Johnson. They were using Austin Walter. I mean, a lot of other guys were touching the ball. So for him to walk away with 639, it's like, wow, how did that even happen? He showed to be a good receiving running back. I think that the Jets might end up changing their plans. I don't even know if they're going to be a run by committee kind of team. I think that he was more special than they thought he was going to be, and that they're just going to get a big, strong power back to help wear down the defensive line for him and soften him up. And I think this is going to be their big play running back. So as a fan, I'm very pleased. And I think that he's going to have a breakout year. I think that I wouldn't bet the farm on it, but because you never know for sure, and he's got to prove he can stay healthy. That's the big question if you're drafting for fantasy: can he stay healthy, or is he going to be an injury-prone guy? But outside of that, if he plays all 17 games, I think he's going to reward a fantasy owner. And
Shawn, thoughts on Michael Carter?
I liked him coming out of UNC when on draft night when he ended up getting drafted by the Jets. I told you right there and then that he was worth it and that he was going to be a great player for the Jets. I liked him when he was in college. I thought he had a great college career for a UNC team. And then when he got drafted to the Jets, I think he'll have a good NFL career overall as well, just for the fact that he's going to have that breakout year one in probably this coming year, and he's going to end up moving probably closer to 1,000 yards overall, I think, rushing wise. And I think that the Jets will end up seeing that he is the running back that they see in the future and definitely build around him in the offensive line.
Yeah, agreed there. So let's move on to number 3 here. We had the wrong San Francisco running back. We ended up with Elijah Mitchell being number 3, projected 82nd overall, because we thought Thurman was going to have the bigger year. But guys, thoughts on Mitchell there in San Francisco?
He's definitely stole Trey Sermon's starting job. Elijah Mitchell will be the starter for the San Francisco 49ers moving forward. Honestly, I said to you before the stream began, I don't even know if Trey Sermon is going to have a job in San Francisco, depending on what they do with that, because I know they have I know Mostert's a free agent, so they might end up moving on from Mostert and build around Mitchell and Sermon as their running backs. But Mitchell definitely, for getting drafted later than Sermon, you would thought that Sermon would be the starter, and they didn't depend on him, and definitely followed with Mitchell being the running back, and I think he's the running back for the future as well.
Yeah, Jeremy, thoughts on Mitchell in San Francisco?
Yeah, if things go right, I could see him moving up to like the 15th, 14th overall running back in the league next year. So, yeah, I mean, it's an impressive rookie year, 963 yards. Look at that average. He's perfect for that system. It's a great system to be in as a running back when you win the job. Like if you're the main guy, that's the system you want to be in. And San Francisco has the offensive line and knows how to run that system. So he's a good, solid guy. And I would definitely put him in the top 15 for next year.
Yeah, and you think about it, he missed I think he only played like half the year as a starter. So if you imagine his stats, if he played a full 17 games compared to probably like 12, or 11, his stats would have been mind-blowing overall for what his year could have been.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed with both of you guys. And then that brings us to our top two. Two guys we already touched on because they both ended up in the top 20. But Williams there with the Broncos, 16th projected 32nd overall, finished 16th. Guys, anything to add on Williams? I know we went over him in the top 20, but I mean, yeah, with Gordon being a free agent, maybe a bigger workload there for Williams next year.
Yeah, what we touched on about earlier, I think that he's definitely going to be the Broncos starter for years to come. And his workload is only going to improve from there, and his yardage each year will only get better and better and better. So I think he's got a lot to grow on, and I think he's got a lot to improve on as a second year back coming into the league.
Yeah, Jeremy, any additional thoughts on Williams?
Yeah, he'll drop into the. I think he's going to drop into the top 10. So
Yep. And that takes us once again, Harris, number one rookie, finished third overall for the year. We had him at 12th. But yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what Pittsburgh does at quarterback. But guys, final thoughts on Harris.
I just think he's going to be a top 10 running back for years to come, regardless who's the quarterback. Just for his running game aspect, if they can build on the offensive line a little bit, it's only going to make it better for them overall.
Yeah,
Jeremy,
he's a stud.
Yeah, agreed. So, guys, that was our top 20 fantasy running backs for the 2021 season, and also the top 5 rookie running backs as well.